Ninth-seeded Syracuse women's basketball didn't just lose to top-seeded UConn this evening. The Orange got mauled by the Huskies in a 98-45 thrashing in Storrs, Connecticut. But can 'Cuse fans really be all that surprised? I mean, UConn was 35-0 entering this matchup and has now advanced to the Sweet 16 for the 32nd straight time, a Division I record. Plus, you're bound to be elite when you have a guy named Gino in control, am I right? Syracuse gets sent home in the second round of the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years, and we're here to break it all down right here on Orange Press Pass. Welcome into Orange Press Pass, everyone. Gino Antimarino joined with Ben Chadwick, Drew Albaugh. A dominant affair by UConn over Syracuse, a game from the very start that was completely in control of the Huskies. I want to start off with your first thoughts because we had a lot of thoughts watching this game tonight. But Ben, I want to start with you. What was sort of the glaring issue for Syracuse today? What stood out?
Man, I mean, hitting the rim, right, Drew? I mean, I was impressed. I was impressed every time Syracuse hit the rim today. And yeah, we can laugh at that. Genuinely, I meant that. It was that type of matchup, Drew, where they said it on the broadcast earlier as well. It looked like a fifth grade team against the varsity squad out there, right? And like that's no slight to Syracuse. It's just there's so many levels to this game that I genuinely was impressed when Syracuse hit the rim. I mean, whether it was a turnover or chucking up a shot.
You were not impressed when they hit the rim.
I'm not joking with you. Whether it was a turnover or chucking up a shot with 1 second on the shot clock, and of course it would airball or maybe hit the backboard. When they hit the rim, I would say this was a good offensive possession. I mean that too.
Wow. I mean, I'm under the same line of thinking. I'm not that bad. I got different outcome, different level, different sport, quite frankly. Yeah. I mean, this is a Syracuse team that really didn't look like it belonged with UConn today. The Huskies looked like it was playing a completely different sport. Cool, calm, collected. Syracuse, on the other hand, frantic. Yes. I don't think hitting the rim was a good offensive possession. But then again, there wasn't a lot of good offensive possessions today. It really was like Syracuse was playing a different sport.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Syracuse coming off of a win against Iowa State in the first round. That was a 9-8 seed. But against UConn, you're right. If Syracuse hit the rim during a possession, it was almost like it was a good thing for the Orange. So let's find out how Syracuse played overall down there in Storrs, Connecticut. Syracuse heading to Connecticut, and you know, this was a team in UConn that eliminated Syracuse in the second round of the NCAA tournament 2 seasons ago. You can see Gino Auriemma, the most decorated head coaches at the college women's level, and he's looking like a supervillain out there, and that's what his team was. Now, Syracuse, you know, they had a couple of bounces here and there to start, but as you can see the score on the bottom of your screen, it didn't last very long. There's Uche Azoje coming off 23 points in the first round against Iowa State. But she did not have that great of a game, just 12 points. But from there, AZ Fudd, the first-team All-American bench, she looked fantastic today.
I mean, she was unbelievable. She had a tough matchup as well. Uche was on her quite a bit, the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year as well, and she was just all over her.
Going into the second quarter, Syracuse down 33-8, and AZ Fudd was just lighting it up from downtown. But one of the things that is noticeable about the three-point shooting, UConn was getting so many second chance opportunities. Syracuse was out-rebounded 46-28 and 18 offensive boards by UConn. There's another turnover for Syracuse. Drew, in today's game, Syracuse had 20 giveaways. UConn 35 points off those turnovers.
And a big reason to the 31-0 run. Syracuse didn't score for over 10 minutes. My goodness, it was like Syracuse and UConn were completely different teams in completely different moments, and those turnovers a big reason why.
And how about that? AZ Fudd had over double the points that Syracuse had at his team going into halftime. But coming out of the break, the production slowed down a little bit for UConn, but nonetheless, when you're up by that much, it doesn't really matter. Olivia Schmidt throwing it away, that was a theme, and you can see Coach Jack right there.
Not happy.
Just
Look at the
shaking her head. Yeah, it was not pretty. Syracuse dropping this one 98-45. They get sent home in the second round of the NCAA tournament. How about this, guys? Syracuse has lost to UConn 21 straight times. And we look at AZ Fudd, who finished with 34 points, tied for her career high, which she notched last season. But Uche Azoje, the ACC Rookie of the Year, 12 points today. And You know you're great when we say 12 points is an underwhelming performance, but nonetheless, Ben, they really shut her down.
And Syracuse shot just around 30% so far today. So honestly, is OJ shooting 6 for 13 from the field? Not too bad from the freshman.
Yeah, and how about Sarah Strong, Drew? She is one of the top players for UConn, and she was obviously a little bit outshined when you compare her to Fudd, but still 18 points, 9 rebounds, not too shabby for her.
And played just over 20 minutes. She's going to be ready to go for the next round for the Huskies.
Well, Syracuse looked pretty bad there in Storrs, Connecticut, but someone who always looks great. We welcome in our Syracuse women's basketball beat reporter here at Citrus TV, Milo Hoffman, who is there to catch the game. Milo, welcome into Orange Press Pass. I want to start things off with we know Coach Felicia Legette-Jack. She gets pretty emotional, especially when it's after a dramatic loss like this. How were the coaches and players after this loss? What did you hear there?
Yeah, Gino, there was definitely a lot of emotion in the post-game press conference. FLJ came out, and I will say the first thing that she talked about was she talked about the committee putting Syracuse here in Connecticut for what's the third time under Coach FLJ. I mean, she really called out the committee and said, this is unfair. My players do not deserve to play Coach Auriemma and UConn, again, the #1 team in the nation. So that was very interesting. It's the first thing that she said. But yes, the emotions were flying in the press conference. Layla Felia came out and spoke. She was brought to tears when talking about her detached retina, her time at Michigan and Texas, and what it came to here at Syracuse. So the emotions definitely high in the press conference for Syracuse after this big loss.
Yeah, and Milo, Gino just helps us break down that first half, the second half along with it. But man, oh man, that first half was just disastrous for Syracuse. From you, I mean, you were in the stadium watching it all go down. I mean, what did you see? What happened there?
Yeah, Ben, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, a 31-0 run. I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was the speed that UConn was playing with. It was unmatched. Syracuse had absolutely no answer for UConn in that first half. I was looking at the bench while that was happening. Coach Jack was trying to motivate her players, obviously, as a coach would do, but there was just so much going wrong for Syracuse. AZ Fudd was unstoppable, and it seems like every time she put up a shot, it was going to go in, and that's really hard to deal with from the Syracuse side of things. It feels like you're putting all your effort out there. You're trying to stop one of the best players in the country, one of the projected top picks in the WNBA draft, but every shot she's putting up there is going in. So yeah, a 31-0 run. I've never seen anything like that here, and it happened in Storrs, and that was a big reason why UConn came away with such a big win.
Milo, you could go in a lot of different directions here, right? Why Syracuse struggled so mightily against UConn today, but if you had to put your money on one reason why, what was the biggest difference to why UConn dominated Syracuse in pretty much every facet tonight?
Drew, UConn was connected. The chemistry was off the charts. I've never seen anything like that. You're going to really mark that. I'm saying that quote a lot now. I've never seen anything like that because it's true. I mean, it seemed like they were talking to each other without having to actually say the words out loud. I mean, that 31-0 run, Syracuse couldn't do anything. The speed was unmatched. AZ Fudd, Sarah Williams was unbelievable on the defensive side of things. So yeah, I think the speed is what I'll really put my finger on. That's what stood out to me. Syracuse has not seen anything like this under head coach FLJ. I mean, the speed that UConn is playing with is probably the best in the country. It's why they're undefeated. It's why they're going to the Sweet 16 again. It's why they're probably the favorite to win the championship again. So, I mean, I just have to say probably the speed and the communication between UConn all around, between all of its players, from the bench players, from the starters, from the fans, and the atmosphere here in the Gamble Pavilion was unmatched. The student section, the students were actually back today in classes for the first time after spring break. So the atmosphere was great, but UConn is on a different level than most teams.
That was Milo Hoffman, our Citrus TV beat reporter for the women's basketball team. Milo, great stuff as always. We hope you get back to Syracuse safely. Coming up after this break, Milo touched on it, some things that we can break down about this game and what made UConn so dominant over Syracuse. Stick with us. Welcome back into Orange Press Pass. Syracuse falling to UConn 98-45 in the second round of the NCAA tournament. A game that UConn just absolutely dominated from start to finish. And here to break it all down, my analysts and myself. But I want to turn it over to them because they have some specifics they want to break down with Drew and Ben over there at the wall. Guys, what were some of the biggest glaring issues from today's game?
Yeah, thank you so much, Gino. I think it has to be the shot selection.
Right. I mean, what wasn't the biggest issue?
Well, yeah, there's that too. I mean, let's just break down the entire game right now if we want to go over the issues for Syracuse. But no, the shot selection by far was just the worst thing I've seen from Syracuse all season long. Now, I understand, right, that this is the best defense that Syracuse has played all season long in the biggest game as well. That's not even a bad shot, honestly. That's one of the most open shots they had, bricking that. I mean, that's heavily contested. But I said it before, Drew, I don't want to keep harping on this. Genuinely, when shots would hit the rim, like it was an uncommon occurrence. We compiled them. This is a highlight reel right now that we're watching. I mean, right there, Uche Izoje, not a horrendous shot for her as well, especially in a game like this. But it was just so difficult. They were 1 for 18 from three. They were 33% from the field. It was one of their worst, if not the worst, shooting night we've seen from them all season long.
Yeah, Syracuse finishes just 21 from 64 from the field. Yeah. UConn, on the other hand, 38 for 68. Syracuse with just 4 points in the second quarter. A big reason why the Orange go 1 for 18 from the three-point line. UConn made 12 more threes than Syracuse. It's a season low for the Orange from behind the arc. 5% from three. Ben, I mean, I feel like we could have gone out there, just chucked it behind our head.
I don't want to start that. I don't want to start that. What I do want to start...
1-3, Ben?
What I do want to start talking about, though, 5 assists, man. I mean, UConn was playing the passing lanes like they knew exactly where the ball was going every single time.
Yeah.
That explains the 5 assists. I mean, we saw it happen.
But just the 1-3, that's the thing that really sticks out to me there. 1 for 18.
In today's game, too. You're
not good looks. Another thing that really stuck out among many, like we mentioned, just not Syracuse's day today, was the rebounding. The Orange got out-rebounded by UConn. It was not pretty. 46-28, the final rebounding tallies. Syracuse in the first half, it was even worse, got out-rebounded by double digits. And a big reason why today, you see it here, on the offensive boards, gets tipped around, and UConn's just swarming the ball, not letting the Orange breathe. And if you're going to win ball games, you cannot lose offensive rebounds. Point blank simple. Those are just free possessions you're giving up. If you lose the rebounding battle, you're going to lose the game 9 times out of 10. Winning the game and losing the rebounding battle is about as rare as Ben not wearing a floral tie over here. And you're wearing a floral tie, so you can do the math.
They look pretty. Am I a criminal for that? I don't understand.
Not as pretty as Syracuse's lack of rebounding today. Uche Izoje picks it up. Can't get it to go. The Orange, I mean, there's a lot of highlight in blue on the right column. Not a lot on the left, Ben.
Yeah, and honestly, the offensive rebounding tally, when you look at it after the game, it seemed like UConn out-rebounded them by a significantly larger margin on the offensive glass, just by the feel of how it was going, the hustle that UConn showed, and how, like you said, swarming to the ball. That's the type of UConn basketball that they were playing.
And really quick, Syracuse came into this game with a larger rebounding margin than UConn on the season.
I know.
And this is what comes with it.
Look, the shot selection, the rebounding, we could break down everything, but there was one more glaring weakness for Syracuse in this one, Gino.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. It was the turnovers. And you talked about the defense for Syracuse going 1 for 18 from 3, but I really want to hone in on one of the other defensive components for UConn that makes it so dangerous, and it's its steals. This is a team coming into this game was first in the NCAA in steals per game, averaging about 16. They had 15 today, causing Syracuse to have 20 turnovers, and UConn scored 35 points off those giveaways. So when you are going up against a team that is that defensively locked in, you have to make sure you're taking care of the basketball. And we saw some plays there earlier when we were going through the highlights of this game earlier in the show. There were plays where at times, like you're seeing right now, Syracuse was just very careless, passing through lanes where there were clearly UConn defenders, and that is what's going to hurt you when you're going up against one of the best defensive teams in the country. Now, we talked about the defense and how great it was for UConn, but it was highlighted by one player in specifics, and that is AZ Fudd, who had 4 steals today, and that is our player of the game here at Orange Press Pass. Now listen, she's going to be the projected first overall pick in the WNBA draft, but it wasn't just the steals that was really helping her case to win this player of the game. She was getting it done scoring as well. 34 points. She had 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and an efficient shooting clip as well today. She was really lighting the spark for UConn, and she was someone, as a senior, you know she's going to have a lot of that stress on her to make sure that she is playing well to help her team win, and she certainly carried UConn to a dominant win over Syracuse today. Well, we talked about the Syracuse struggles in this contest, but we're not done quite yet. Just because Syracuse got eliminated, it's now time to talk about the season as a whole. The Analysts will get into it a little bit after this break. Make sure you stay with us here on Orange Press Pass.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The game between Syracuse and UConn has ended, and it ended in large favor for UConn. But the game for us here on Orange Press Pass is just getting started. With Ben Chadwick, Drew Albaugh, I'm Gino Antimarino. Now with Syracuse packing up its bags and heading home for the offseason, it's time to recap this season. And it's not just going to be your typical, oh, let's go through the storylines for this year. We're going to make it a competition, because why the heck not, right?
The gloves.
All right,
Come on.
all right, guys. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's calm down. All right, so I'm going to pose a couple of topics, each worth different points. I'll make sure I explain the point breakdown for each topic, but you guys will go at it, and I will pick which take I like the most. So the first one, unsung hero, and it's worth 1 point. Now, I'll start off with Ben Chadwick, who, Drew, you admired his floral tie.
You did. Can that be the first topic? Can that be the first topic?
You know what? I would give him a point for tie matchup here. You guys can be the judges at home. But I want to start off with unsung hero because, listen, we already know who the best player objectively for Syracuse was this season. But I want to go with someone.
Right.
Yeah. But I want to go with, who did you think was sort of flying under the radar? I don't want to say flying under the radar, but maybe the Robin to Jose's Batman. Ben, I'll start with you.
I would say that was Journey Thompson, who played a similar role to Uche's OJ, right? I mean, she was down low. She wasn't a scorer on this team, which isn't really exactly the same as his OJ, who's putting up 16 points a game and really excelling in that category. But, man, oh man, Journey Thompson, I mean, she averaged the 3rd most rebounds on this team and the 4th most steals with only 17 minutes a game. That's not the type of stuff that people recognize and people really go out of their way to say, wow, Journey Thompson had a great game today because she had 7 rebounds and 4 steals. No one says that. But that's the game she had against Stanford. Syracuse barely beating Stanford in that one. And Journey Thompson, I think, was a big reason why, and people didn't really talk about, but it was probably a reason why they won that game. Today, we talked about how the rebounding battle was rough against UConn. Was she the greatest today against the Huskies? No. Was anyone? No. But throughout the entire season, I really think she was incredibly impressive for Syracuse.
I think the key word is unsung, right? And Thompson finishes top 5 in minutes on the Syracuse team. I don't know how unsung that is. I'm going to go with Olivia Schmidt, who showed up when the lights were the brightest. When everybody else crumbled, Olivia Schmidt rose to the occasion. When Dominique Darius went down, she was absolutely electric against Iowa State. 5 threes, 15 points, and 5 assists. And really throughout the season, she was the spark plug on the bench for head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack and this Orange squad. The Energizer Bunny, she'd come on, hit a 3, go back to the bench, incite some spark and some energy into the Syracuse team when a lot of times the Orange needed it. Particularly in that big Cal triple overtime game, she comes in, gets a big bucket in double OT. I mean, there's multiple cases in this season where Olivia Schmidt comes in and is the difference maker, and the big reason why head coach Felicia Legette trusted her, and she got it done.
All right, guys, you both made really strong cases here. I like the Journey Thompson point. I like Olivia Schmidt. Now, you talked about her having 5 threes against Iowa State. That was all in the first half. She didn't hit any threes in the second half. But I will say Olivia Schmidt, in my opinion, did have more of that unsung hero role for
Top
Syracuse
5
this season. So 1 point for Drew.
She can't be unsung. She's got like 2 million followers on TikTok. Everyone knows about her. I mean, what are we saying?
Fair enough. That is a good point.
You should have brought that up in your argument before.
Listen,
okay,
Olivia
right.
Schmidt, she has great performances on the court, but she also has great performances on TikTok, like Ben just said. But I want to focus back on basketball, and for this next point, it is worth 1 point as well. And we are going to talk about best performances, specifically on the basketball floor, because I know you want to talk about TikTok. We're not talking about
I don't
TikTok.
want to. I have to.
Okay, I'm going to start with Drew first, since you got the first point. Who did you think had the best performance, or what was the best performance from this year?
Well, I feel like I got to go back to the TikTok train because
Oh
we're
my
going to
God.
beat
No, we
a dead
don't.
horse.
No,
we're
we
going,
don't.
we're going, well, it's because I'm going back to Olivia Schmidt.
Oh.
I'm going back to Olivia Schmidt.
Oh, okay.
Best individual performance, 15 points in the biggest game of the season.
What was today?
Step backs in people's faces. It did not matter. Who cares about today? Syracuse could have had the Avengers on the floor today and the Orange still would have lost. But Olivia Schmidt against Iowa State was the X factor. Heck, she was the double X factor. Without Olivia Schmidt against Iowa State, this team would have been a one and done. I mean, look at this move. Step back in your eyes.
The move was a throw.
Oh my goodness, 15 points for Olivia Schmidt. Ben, you can't, I mean, that was impressive stuff.
For Olivia Schmidt. It was very
Whoa,
impressive.
whoa.
For Olivia Schmidt.
5 threes, 5 assists.
And that's all she had. 15 points.
Does Syracuse win that game without Olivia Schmidt?
No, does Syracuse win the game against Virginia without Layla Filia? How about 38 points from Layla
NCAA
Filia
tournament game,
against
Virginia?
I don't care what game it was in, man. We're talking about pure performance. We can go over biggest game of the season.
In the NCAA tournament.
We can go over biggest game of the season later on in this game. Layla Filia was unbelievable against the Cavaliers. I mean, everything down low she was getting. She got everything she wanted. Only had a couple threes and still had 38 points. That is unreal stuff, Drew. I mean, she was fantastic in this one. She led the Orange. She pretty much had all their points in this game as well. She had around half the points in this win over Virginia. When she could turn it on, which she did at certain points this year, she was red hot. This game was exactly that.
I have to admit, getting it done on the road in ACC play, that is big. And to have 38 points for Layla Filia,
Yes.
that is huge. I'm going to give this one to Ben. Tied at 1 apiece. And we get to our final point. And it is, what did you guys think was the best game for this season? A lot to pick from. That Virginia game was a good one.
Was, yeah.
The Iowa State game was a good one. But Ben, I'll go back to you for this final one. What did you think was the best game? Go ahead.
Man, I'm going to take us back to Connecticut. I know we don't want to go back there based on what just happened in this game.
Stay away from Connecticut.
But in that Connecticut tournament they played earlier in the season in November, they had a thriller against Auburn, 66-60. Syracuse, Sophie Burrows hitting that free throw with just a few seconds left to send it to overtime. Then you have Layla Filia and Dominique Darius just going off in those final 5 minutes of overtime to win this one for the Orange. That was what really set the tone for Syracuse for the rest of the season.
You know what's better than 1 overtime? 3 overtimes, and that's what Syracuse did against Cal in a thrilling triple overtime win at the Dome. Syracuse was up by more than 20 points entering the fourth quarter.
Was that a good thing?
Absolutely blew it. But when push came to shove, in the third quarter, Syracuse had less than a 20% chance, according to ESPN, to win that ball game. And Dominique Darius, from 27 feet, three-pointer, for the win. Triple overtime against Cal.
I gotta say, listen, I think recency bias may be playing a factor here, but Drew's got a point, 3 overtimes.
But the way they got there, the best game for Syracuse this season was a game that they fell apart in.
I gotta say, Syracuse getting it done in triple overtime is the best. Drew with the final 2 points, he wins it here on Orange Press Pass. But don't worry, we're not done yet. We're cleaning up shop after this break. These analysts, they've got a lot of opinions. You could just hear them going at it. They've got more on Sound Off when we come back. Stick with us.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Wrapping up shop here on Orange Press Pass with Ben Chadwick, Drew Albaugh. I'm Gino Antimarino. Syracuse packing its bags and heading home after the second round loss in the NCAA tournament at the hands of the UConn Huskies. Now, one of the things that Coach Felicia Jack talked about in the postgame presser today was how unfair it was that her team continuously lines up against UConn in the postseason. And look at that. Wow. A lot of L's you can see when Syracuse in the NCAA tournament, but a few UConns you can see right there. And Ben, Felicia Jack, she has a little bit of a point, but in order to be the best, you got to beat the best, you could argue.
Oh, but I mean, she has a point because the best in women's college basketball is 2 to 3 teams that are just leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. So yeah, let's line her up with another 1 seed that isn't UConn or isn't South Carolina, which she hasn't played yet. But those are the powerhouses, right? Give her a different 1 seed, or maybe she can build her way to a 7 seed and not have to play them.
Yeah, a lot of round 32 exits, but a lot of those against UConn,
exactly.
Of course. Unfortunate, I think, is the word to use. Yes, Gino, you're right. To be the best, you got to beat the best. But at this point, you really can't blame head coach Felicia Jack right now.
All right, well, Syracuse, regardless of what you just saw there, Syracuse has not been all that successful in the postseason, especially under Coach Jack, but at least they're getting some berths. But with the end of the season, my analysts, it's time for them to sound off on their opinions for this year.
Yeah, Gino, my sound off is that you will never be the team you lost to tonight. But the future is bright because of one woman, Uche Izoje. The ACC Rookie of the Year is now the cornerstone for your team over the next 3 seasons. You brought in 2 senior guards from esteemed programs that had all the hype heading into the season, and it was your freshman that stole the show. Look, her 16 points and 9 rebounds a game will only get better over time. Now, Coach Jack, it's on you to build around her and turn this into a team that keeps dancing past where you were today. With the talent on this roster, you went as far as you possibly could have. Now, building around your budding superstar to raise that ceiling year by year, you can absolutely do that. With a player like Uche, the expectation is round of 32, but you can go so much further if you do the right thing.
My sound off is going to be appreciate the sunshine regardless of the dark day that was today. Syracuse, yes, this was a struggle. But a 24-9 season after last year finishing 12-18, you got to celebrate that. And Syracuse had a great season, but today just wasn't its day.
Well, you can certainly just sum it up as saying Syracuse, it just wasn't its day today. But let me tell you what, Orange Press Pass, it's its day every time this show goes on the air. For Drew Albaugh, Ben Chadwick, I'm Gino Antimarino saying so long. Thanks to another fantastic episode of Orange Press Pass for our producers and everyone down here at Citrus TV. We hope you stay tuned to the next Orange Press Pass, all right here on Citrus TV.